Hi, Dr. Schultz. This is my video on sustainability, how Denmark is more environmentally friendly than the United States, and kind of more from a technical aspect, although there is some culture to it, kind of the trying to be more technical. So this first picture shows an offshore wind farm, the one that we got to climb one of the turbines, which was super cool. I wanted to contrast it with, or compare it to, a facility, a clean energy facility in Washington that was built, specifically 2 nuclear reactors that were built in southern Washington. And so this wind farm was placed directly off a beach where it was kind of the main beach of Copenhagen. That's where everyone went when they wanted a day at the beach. And it obscured a large portion of the view, and I'm sure some people complained when it went up. But in the end, it stayed operating, and it's been operating for 22 years. Some of the wind turbines are broken now, but the majority of them have been operating for that whole time. Whereas in Washington, these nuclear reactors were put up to make Washington have more clean, more environmentally friendly. And then right as they were finished, right before the reactors got put into them, there was a protest against them, and eventually the reactors didn't get put in, and they've stayed there unoperable until now. Like, they're still just sitting there. So kind of showing how starting early on with a type of clean energy that everyone would be a fan of, even though it's not always the prettiest, and some people I'm sure complained, there weren't enough complaints that it didn't get built. The second picture, kind of going on the same lines, shows the wood chip plant, and while you can say switching from coal to wood chips, you still have problems where you're cutting down trees. It is difficult to keep it sustainable. It is better than coal, and it was achievable, and it's done. Like, they have a wood chip burning plant. That's something that we could do for all of our coal plants in the U.S. as they reach the end of their lives. We could cycle them to these wood chip plants, but we haven't, at least not all of them, or it hasn't been a main focus, I don't think, because we look at these other things that we think will be better. And so instead of taking these actions that Denmark has that have been done for 20 years or however long the wood chip plant has been going, we just haven't made any progress at all. So from a technical standpoint, just that time that at some point we do have to switch to clean energy, and it doesn't have to be the best solution, but some solution has to be found. So these last 3 pictures I'm going to show kind of something that surprised me about Denmark. So there's this first picture that shows Copenhagen from one of the towers we climbed. And one technical advantage that Denmark has is it has all of this space and buildings they're just so old, and things they've changed, but things, I feel like Denmark doesn't have this need to constantly be expanding and changing the aesthetic of their cities. They don't need to be expanding in space. It doesn't feel like there's been the same flight to the suburbs and stuff like that in Denmark as there was in the United States. This next picture is from Tvindkraft, the wind turbine there. I did not expect to see this much open land in Denmark. I feel like if Denmark's culture was U.S. culture, there would be Copenhagen and the rest would be a suburb, because people do commute like an hour every day to get to a major city to work in the United States. And all of Denmark is within a 2-hour drive of Copenhagen. So half of the entire country could be a suburb of Copenhagen, but because they have a different culture, because they haven't done that, they don't feel that need to have personal space. there's just all this open land, which while it is farmed, there's not a lot of like native forest. There's more native forest than there are around a lot of our major cities, within 2 hours of our major cities. So I thought that was very interesting and very sustainable.